Aries, hello. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to Coffee, Sage, and Tarot. We're jumping right into your July monthly. I know there was a little bit of a break in between readings. I apologize. Life gets busy. But we're here now. So let's go ahead and see what July has in store for you, Aries, okay? Hope you've been keeping well, enjoying the summer. Let's see, Aries. For the month of July, please. Can you show me Aries? For the month of July. Show me Aries, please. Show me Aries for the month of July, please. Last time. Show me Aries, please. Thank you. Okay. Seven of Pentacles. Facts, not feelings here. Feels like you're analyzing, you're holding still, which is interesting for you, Aries, somebody who's very go, go, go typically. It seems like you're stopping and you're kind of analyzing here what fits, what doesn't fit. And at least taking a moment to assess where you are. Let's move this up here. Okay, so we've got the Knight of Cups, Strength, and the Queen of Wands. So the Queen of Wands, I'm kind of happy to see all of this. Knight of Cups here does indicate some sort of exploration into yourself here, self-reflection, looking into that cup, right? So you're not necessarily focused on what's happening outside of you, or if you are, there's still a little bit of room that you're making to look at all of the stuff that's happening inside of you. Leo, Strength, coming up in the center or the heart of the reading here. Again, kind of speaking to you have the courage, you have the confidence, you have what it takes inside of you to continue on to wherever you're headed next, right? Queen of Wands here, again, like that's you. You are showing up present for your reading, Aries. This tends to be this idea that you are in charge, right? But also that you know where you're going. You're very determined to get there. You can use all of the items available to you. You can get your way. You can, you're very charismatic, right? So this is showing very nicely here that you are sitting in a really nice spot, Aries, for July. Eight of Cups showing up in the shadow along with that Eight of Wands. So we've got double eights here. It seems that whatever you're kind of sitting in or sitting with to work out or assess here, ultimately there are some things that you will be walking away from. And it's kind of like a shedding, if you will. Shedding certain things that no longer fit and moving on. And it's really nice here, the water with the fire energy or the cup with the wand, in that you're moving away from things that you know into a bit of a discomfort into what you don't know, but you're really all about that moving forward into what's next. It's almost like as soon as we have this moment of we're sitting here, we're analyzing, we're picking things that fit, cool, things that don't fit, we're leaving behind, and that's fine. And then we focus all of our energy into what's next and how we're moving forward. So there's kind of like a propulsion here that's happening. It seems after July, or after you've done this facts, not feelings, this kind of assessment, I would say, of your progress thus far, Aries. Then you will start to really kind of move on. But you are taking that pause, which is really nice to see. You're taking that moment for yourself here to really look in your cup and have that bit of self-reflection, which is really quite lovely. Let's get a little bit more clarification here for Aries, please. bit more clarification here for Aries. A little bit more clarification here for Aries. Let's see last time. Thank you. All right, let's see what we've got here. Yeah. Okay, so, right, for the facts, not feelings here, we've got death, the Two of Wands, King of Swords. Yeah, you're changing. You're undergoing some transformation here, and you're actually making space for it, which is really nice. And it is, you know, everything is your choice, Aries. You're not going to do anything that you don't want to do. At some sort of level, you're either resigned to do it, you allow it to happen, right? And so this feels very much like you are making a choice here, and you are continuing in your pursuit of change and transformation. You're continuing in this, on this path of doing what is best for you. King of Swords here. It seems like your knowledge is being questioned, your wisdom is being questioned here, and that's why we're looking at facts, not feelings, and we're being very kind of objective in terms of this work that we're doing. Yeah, it's like, are you going to change or are you going to stay the same? Are you going to continue to rely on this King of Wands who might not be leading you down the right path? Or are you going to allow this change to continue on, right? And so it feels like, yeah, you're questioning your king at the moment. And it feels right for you to be doing that, right? You're taking this time, you're taking this pause, if you will. Though Aries don't really pause, but you are taking a beat, I guess, to determine which way are you going to go, right? Let's clarify. Yeah. You know what? We're just going to pull all these here. Okay. Can we see? Don't think so. Let's do this. And then put that there. All right, so coming into this Knight of Cups here, right? We have the World, Eight of Wands, Ace of Wands. So yeah, it's this idea of closing out this cycle here and moving into something next, right? So that Eight of Wands is kind of being showcasing or showing up here as well. And even if you take a look underneath here, we're moving into King of Cups. So this feels like there's a movement and then judgment behind. So it does feel very much, Aries, like there's this movement into emotional awareness, or at least this idea of considering your emotions more. Perhaps they're holding more weight, or you're giving more credit to your emotional kind of, what's the word? I don't want to say emotional intelligence, but you're giving more weight to your emotions here, and you're allowing them to carry maybe a little bit more power, less reason, more emotion, right? And the intuition that kind of comes from leaning into your emotion a little bit more. Perhaps that's the work that you're doing here, right? So like I said here, with the World, the Eight of Wands, and the Ace of Wands, feels like there is a cycle that's coming to an end here, allowing you to explore some new aspect of yourself, or kind of gain a new insight into who you are, right? Into an Aries kind of fundamental, foundational being here. That's what I'm seeing, right? For others of you, if that's not really resonating, it feels like they're either way, some sort of cycle is closing, and it's opening you up to some new sort of spark or new passion. With the Ace, you are wand energy, so this feels more fundamental or foundational to who you are, Aries, but it could also be sparking new passion. once that door is closed. And it does have to do with that emotional component, right? You're looking within yourself as opposed to outside of you. And it feels like you are doing some sort of work within, either recognition that your emotions are valid or that you should listen to them, or that they're a part of you as well. Something along that line, right? Where you're giving more credit to the emotional side of you. Within the strength card here, we have that clarified by the Page of Cups, the Devil, and the Page of Wands. See, it's interesting, right? How the Devil is sitting and then the pages are facing opposite sides here. And this feels like the work that you're doing, right? It's kind of like, okay, how do we get, your water and your fire kind of to talk to each other on the same page, these different elements here, because you have this, you have this passion that exists in you, and that's your driving force to get things done. You're a doer, you're a mover, you're a go-getter, Aries. And that's always been who you are. That's kind of always who you're going to be. You are the cardinal sign of cardinal signs. So that just makes sense. But coming in here with this Page of Cups, it's also there. It feels like you're kind of coming into, as I said, this idea that emotions matter and you can't dismiss your emotions as not part of you, or it's like almost like you've been neglecting yourself emotionally is what I'm seeing here. And so now it's with the Devil showing up here, this idea that this has been your truth for so long that these should be at odds, or that my emotions don't match my passion. And when I say that, I know it sounds a little weird, but it's almost like almost this idea of like I'm emotionally drained, right? But I have this goal that I need to achieve. And so you're sacrificing your emotions and you're sacrificing your emotional need for perhaps a rest in order to attain a goal. That's more what I'm saying here. So you're pushing one side down for benefit of another side, for benefit to keep going and keep moving. That's more what I'm speaking on here. And with the Devil kind of showing up, it's kind of like, yeah, it's always been this way. It needs to be this way in order for me to be productive. Well, it feels like you're kind of stopping and analyzing that and kind of leaning in perhaps to the softer side of yourself, or at least acknowledging that, Aries, you do have a softer side and it's okay to show it more than you're allowing yourself to. And so the Devil is popping up here and saying, hey, no, this worked for so long to kind of stuff this side of us down. And almost perhaps for some of you, the emotions look a little bit distorted, or when they pop up, they can seem extreme. And that's because there's not you're not allowing that full breadth of emotion to come through. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is really a working on acknowledging that emotional side so that when it comes up, it's not so overwhelming. Okay, and really trying to work with that side of you, or at least start to acknowledge it. And in doing so, questioning, some sort of truth or fundamental truth that you've relied on for some time to get you where you are, and of course to get you where you continue to go, right? With this Queen of Wands here, we have the Two of Cups, the Six of Pentacles, and the Seven of Pentacles. So again, coming back here with that Queen of Wands, it's almost like you're looking, I want to say you're looking at people that are equal. Looking at equal. There's either. All right, let me speak my first thought first. With the Two of Cups here, this could be you meeting you. And what I mean by that is that these two are now having a conversation with the Devil not in the way. right? This is the goal here. You want the equal sides of you to have a conversation in order to further that balance and that harmony within you, right? Right now, you're acknowledging that the devil is a bit in the way and old patterns are kind of lingering, and we're saying, okay, how do we address that here? Moving on with this Queen of Wands, it's kind of like, okay, how do we take this and move forward and continue doing what we want to do? This feels like you meeting you with that Two of Cups, to say these two are having a conversation and the devil is no longer a part of it, right? Getting to a point where you acknowledge that your emotional side is, or your water side, right? That vulnerability is just as important as that fire and that passion and that doing, okay? That's what I'm seeing here. And then in that harmony that exists within you, there's harmony that exists outside of you, right? So a lot of times with you Aries, or at least the Aries that I read for, the work, typically the work has been done outside of you, and then you kind of take parts of that and you internalize that as how you change yourself. But you have to have control over your environment first before you take on that change internally, okay? This seems like the reverse of that. So it's almost like, okay, there's that harmony that you have within you, and then that extends into your physical landscape here. And that's what I'm seeing. Or it could be something along that vein. Okay, take what resonates here, but it really does feel like there's some sort of equal partnership either between you and you, or you and someone else here, that has propelled this kind of idea of looking at your physical landscape here, seeing some sort of generosity or something that has kind of switched, and now you're kind of saying, okay, I'm going to assess my physical because I've assessed my internal, and I'm going to assess my physical in the same kind of way, in terms of what works, what doesn't, what am I holding on to that I really shouldn't be, right? Or what is holding me down rather than lifting me up, right? Chariot here, that Cancer energy, Temperance, not surprised to see that, and Hanged Man, right? Very determined here, which again, I am not surprised to see that Chariot energy, that very consistent, very determined, I am going to do this, I am in charge energy. We were talking of balance, right? Temperance, not surprised to see this at the bottom of the deck either for clarifiers, right? This idea of harmony seems to be important, right? Top of mind for July for you. And again, it's this idea of you're feeling good. And so why not take this opportunity of feeling good to explore and go a little bit deeper in this work of what do we, exploring that emotional side of you, right? Hanged Man, again, that new perspective, right? What are we taking away from our King of Swords here, Aries, to bring in new knowledge and new perspective? Because you are seeing things differently. You are allowing yourself to see things differently, right? Feels like 2025 for you, Aries, has been all about the self, right? Where you're going and doing tons of things, or, kind of conquering your physical landscape here. You're conquering your insides, and that's amazing work to see for you. And that's what I'm seeing really become the priority for July. Okay, let's go ahead here and get some further clarification for Aries. Let's get some further clarification for Aries, please. These cards are really, really slippery. There we go. Anything else for Aries for the month of July, please? And last time. Anything else for Aries, please? Thank you. Seven of Wands, Knight of Cups, the Hierophant, Ace of Cups, and in the shadow we have Seven of Swords. So we're going to address the Seven of Swords here first. The Devil, yeah. Two of Wands. All right, so here we have the Seven of Swords, we have the Devil, and we have the Two of Wands. Interesting. Okay, you see how that's kind of, the thread is leading into the Devil here? That's fun, eh? Because this Seven of Swords, I hope, is kind of on the out. This energy is what's leaving because it doesn't seem to fit here. I think this is kind of, you know, the universe's way of saying, okay, just make sure you're not sabotaging yourself here. Let's not hold on to old patterns, Aries, as we try to embrace this change and move forward. Because at the end of the day, everything is a choice, right? This is your journey. This is your path. I could just keep going on in the shadow here with these cards. Everything is a choice. Everything is your choice. How you perceive the world is up to you, right? How we act is up to us. It sounds like simple, but it's not easy, right? It's not an easy thing to do. But we have so much more control than we realize. And I think you're figuring that out in terms of your embracing your emotion, not to feel vulnerable and not to, you know, kind of lean into that, you know, maybe weak side, or however, you know what I mean? It's not a weak side. It's another side of you, right? And so there's a coming to terms of that, but it's how do you not get in your way, get in your own way, default to these bad habits or these old habits that don't necessarily serve you anymore, right? Coming into the Seven of Wands here, and it is interesting here. I just realized we have 777. So I'm just going to quickly go to the Rider Waite little guidebook here. Infinity, right? So that's really cool, right? This cyclical kind of process here, right? Which is nice, again, with the world, right? Everything is a cycle. Everything comes back around. We constantly have these opportunities to learn these lessons. And if we don't learn these lessons, they will pop up elsewhere in other parts of our life, right? So it feels like this is like a major opportunity here for you to acknowledge that emotional side of you and to really rectify that emotional component with that let's stuff everything down and just get stuff done side of you, right? That doer mentality. It's almost like, you know, if you have time to lean, you have time to clean. Cool, yeah. But you can't constantly be on the go, right? We are not robots. We are not Tesla. We are not AI. Like, you have to program some rest in there. You have to program some time for self, some time for that emotional connectivity to happen, right? And I feel like you are realizing this. It's just a hard truth, right? Because you've existed so long in this do mentality. So Seven of Wands, you know, this idea of being guarded, this idea of, you know, being on the lookout here, on the defensive. I like this kind of imagery here because she's still moving on, right? And that is the energy that we have, this idea of moving forward, looking back. And I'd like to think that it's you looking back to assess where you've been, knowing where you have to go, right? Knight of Cups here, again, a full circle moment, looking within yourself, Aries, and understanding what you need from an emotional side of you and not going too far deep that you get lost. I don't see that for you, but there needs to be some sort of acknowledgement here, right? Otherwise those water tides will flow and you know, become a tsunami, if you will. And nobody wants that, right? We don't want any part of us to have some, you know, overwhelming control or kind of deal in the extremes. We want that temperance, right? We want that balance to exist. And that's what you're trying to find. The Hierophant here, right? So Taurus energy here. And really quite lovely, again, very measured. And that is you too. You're very measured. You're very methodical here. Kind of, similar energy to that Chariot in that, controlling our exterior, right? In control. Perhaps you're leaning on, certain traditional tactics, or going back to your spirituality, or going back to religion, or falling back on some sort of theology here, or, societal truths to help you figure out how to have these sides of you have that conversation, right? Perhaps, leaning into that emotion, that intuition, all of that. Perhaps it is you getting further into your spirituality or your religion, right? And kind of leaning into that a little bit more so that you can feel comfortable opening up this aspect of you, this part of you, to see kind of what happens and where those threads need to be pulled or where they need to be cut. Okay. Ace of Cups here. And that's really quite lovely as well, because we have that Ace of Wands that's showing up. This is an opportunity for you to unearth another aspect of you, to redefine who you are, Aries. It's also a beautiful opportunity for you to get in touch with your emotions, right? And that's the work that you're doing. It's the work that you're doing, and it's beautiful. What I'm not seeing here, and actually what I'm really happy for you for, is that there's really, aside from this King of Swords here, there's no, and the Seven of Swords showing up in your shadow here, there's really no Eight of Swords energy. There's no overthinking. There's no getting in your head. There's no feeling of being trapped here. It seems like you're really open to this work, ready and willing to show up for it. And that is really lovely. That is really nice. It's almost, and again here, kind of coming back to that Two of Wands, you're starting this process. Perhaps it's been something that you've been kind of dipping your toe into for some time, but it feels really like this is a journey that you are starting. And once you kind of get acclimated here a little bit and do the work, it's gonna fly, and you're gonna feel more in your element and more in tune, more aligned with who you are and who you're meant to be. That shedding what doesn't belong will be quite easy, and propelling yourself forward, it's just gonna take you that much further, right? Beautiful. That's what I have for you, Aries, for the month of July. I really hope you enjoyed this reading. I know it's been a little different, and I know I have been absent, so I do apologize. That just makes your presence here so much more powerful, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best for July. Let me know in the comments here how the summer is going for you, and I look forward to seeing you next time. You take care, Aries.